All right, welcome to Racin' and Stuff, the show where we talk about racing and other stuff, and by other stuff, I mean other sports. As usual, I am Chris, and I'm alongside Kyle,
Hi, I'm Kyle.
or should I say, wow, Doug, you've lost a lot of weight. Yeah. You're like, no. Anyway, episode numero 26. I don't know how to say 26 in Spanish. Do
I
you?
don't either.
So I'm just
No.
gonna say numero 26. So anyway, we're making a special Wednesday appearance this week because the race
Was delayed.
the
till
race got
Monday.
delayed till Monday. So obviously we decided to move the show to today. So we're going back to our roots a little bit. We used to do the show on Wednesday. Now we're doing it on Wednesday this week. So for those of you that were eagerly waiting for our show on Tuesday night or on YouTube, we'll be up. And obviously we're up because you're watching us now. So there you go. But obviously on Monday we had the race at the Tricky Triangle, as they call it, Pocono.
Pocono, the most boring race on the circuit.
Oh, Kyle, tell me how you really feel.
I can't believe I have to. Well, I don't watch it, but I can't believe I have to hear about Pocono twice a year. Really,
Yeah.
Pocono.
I know. Well, the thing is they say that well, I believe this. They don't necessarily say it, but I believe that Pocono is on the schedule twice because of all the marketing, because it's so close to Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh and what's the other? Philadelphia and New York and everything. So lucky us, we get to sit through not 400-mile races, but 500-mile races. So
That's great. And they did say it was the most exciting Pocono race ever, but by Pocono standards, that's
really, I didn't hear that. They actually said that.
I guess
So you're like no.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know, the best Pocono race ever is like a bad Bristol.
Good point. But speaking of Pocono, obviously a few exciting things. Of course, exciting is all relative, but a few exciting things came out of the race this past weekend. Obviously Denny Hamlin won. Here's something, and I want to get your thoughts on this. That's interesting. Denny Hamlin's only won 5 races ever. First of all, and second of all, 3 of them have been at Pocono.
Right. I don't know. It's
I picture Denny Hamlin as somebody that would have won more than that.
I mean, after I think he won those 2 Pocono races in his first year.
I think he did.
And then, I don't know, I was like, oh yeah, he's the best at Pocono. And then it's kind of weird to think that he hasn't won again there since Monday.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean I don't know exactly, but it ended like a long winless streak, and
Yeah.
it was interesting because, I mean, I knew he hadn't won in a little bit, but it was just kind of like 5 wins. Wow. I mean, I just
You think of him as more of one of the, I mean, not a top driver, but one of the better drivers, and only 5 wins. Yeah, that's not very many for above average driver.
Well,
that we think
yeah,
he is.
and not just that, but it's also like one of those unique things where it's not just 5 wins. It's been 5 wins at only 3 different tracks, because he had 3 at Pocono. So I don't know. I always picked Denny Hamlin to win at Pocono, so
So
it
do
made
I,
me
yeah.
so because I know it's his best track. But I mean, he's also really good at Martinsville. He's really good at Phoenix, all the flat ones. He's like really good at. He's good at New Hampshire. So it's just like I that was surprising to me. But I don't know if you saw this. Did you see that? It was like 2 days after his grandma died, and like he was like, did you hear about this?
He was really
like,
emotional.
crying.
in,
Yeah, like.
Victory Lane.
It actually, and I guess it's good to bring up in NASCAR especially, but it actually almost looked to me like if I known that, I would have picked him even more to win, because it just almost looked like he was more driven than ever.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially, I mean, since it's been such a long time that he's won. He has the emotion from that, finally overcoming all these bad races. Well, I mean, they're not all bad races, but winless races, and then having a family member pass away. I mean, that adds to it so much too.
Yeah, and like, I mean, it was interesting because at some point, it was like with 20 to go, he was in like 6th place right before that last restart, and the broadcast caught him on his radio saying, "We're going to win this race," and he was in like 6th, and he won, and I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, good for him. Like I said, I can't believe he's only won 5, but I mean, maybe he'll win more. Too bad there's no more Poconos this year. I mean, good
Yeah.
for us. Good for us.
Good
not
for
good
us,
for him.
bad for Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, but a couple other things that came from the race that are important to talk about. Our former host Doug would appreciate this, so I'm going to bring it up. JPM, Juan Pablo Montoya, we've said on the show before that he's in chase contention. He's very, very much so. He keeps moving up the points. He had a wonderful run at Indianapolis last week, however, got caught penalized speeding, finished 11th. But he doesn't have a top 5 this year, or rather, didn't have a top 5 until he finished second at Pocono. So that's exciting. The thing about that I wanted to tell you, I don't know if you knew about this, but Hornish Jr. also, another thing to bring up, finished 4th. His best career finish, and they were actually pitted down in turn 3, the last turn, and they actually saw some debris on the track, called those two drivers, JPM and Sam Hornish Jr., into the pits before the caution came out, and that's how they got to the front of the field, and they ended up finishing there. So, I mean, what do you think about that?
Good strategy.
It is really, yeah. It is
amazing strategy. Very lucky, though, that they saw it. I mean, usually NASCAR will throw debris cautions when there's not debris, and then I don't know. I mean, they could have pitted at any time. There could have been a caution coming out, but to actually see the debris and get in before NASCAR calls the caution.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of timing of when their driver where it was on the track, and think about it, like Tony Stewart or Jeff Gordon that were pitting farther down toward turn 1 had no chance of seeing that debris unless their spotter saw it, but we don't know how big it was. But JPM finally got a top 5, so he ran, amazing at Indianapolis, and he's really doing well. I know how you feel about him. I was just thinking about that. I just remembered that. I just remembered, Kyle doesn't like JPM, but we're going to another good track of his, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the other thing that you didn't even know, well, I guess you knew, but not the extent of it, Jimmie Johnson, my favorite.
He was dominating early in the race, and then something happened. I'm not sure.
He had engine problems, or I guess his engine was sputtering, or some sort of engine problems. They actually were like removing pieces of the engine and replacing them. But yeah, he went 3 laps down, got them
all back, and then finished
13th.
He must have had a really, really good car, because I saw the very beginning of the race on Monday, and he was pulling away from the pack and looked like he had the best car. And then I was surprised to hear that he had gone 3 laps down. Just, I'm not sure what it was for, but
I know it was engine things. But yeah,
that's pretty amazing to come back from 3 laps down, because you're not getting much help from Lucky Dogs or anything.
And at Pocono, of all places. Bristol, you always hear it's a little easier. Martinsville, it's a little easier. But think about it. Also, with this new car, it's like impossible to pass with the clean air and stuff. So not only that, but he was going up through the field. I mean, 20 more laps, he could have been in the top 10, maybe even 5 more laps. So I had to bring that up. I thought that was nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I was paying a little more attention to that, but yeah. The other thing, and I know you'll appreciate this, that came from the race. Your favorite driver, Robbie Gordon. Did you hear about this?
No.
Robbie Gordon and David Stremme got into a couple of altercations on the track. Stremme spun Gordon out, and Gordon came on his radio and said that he basically said, he hit me once in turn 1 or whatever, and then spun me in turn 3. I don't care if NASCAR parks me or what they do. He's getting wrecked. So then they show a couple laps later, Robbie Gordon all over the back of David Stremme, like pushing him, like all over him. Didn't spin him, though. But then another lap or so later or whatever, Stremme spun Gordon again into the wall. And they both got penalized, I believe, 5 laps. So,
well, you don't mess with Robbie Gordon, because when Robbie Gordon's racing, he can hit other people out of the way. And it should be like a video game where he can knock people out of the way, get into the front. Not that he's ever gotten to the front, but then you can't really retaliate. And I don't know, he's kind of a reckless driver, especially on golf carts at Chicagoland Speedway.
In 2004, 3, whatever year it was.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Kyle had an altercation several years ago with Robbie Gordon. But yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. I think that, I mean, also think about it. It's not like a Bristol. It's like Pocono. They're going really fast.
Yeah, 180, I don't know, 200 maybe.
Yeah, no, yeah, they're hitting 200 in places. So I just thought that I think that that's very interesting. I feel like all the time I hear, I don't care if NASCAR parks me, I'm wrecking him.
I mean, what does he have to race for? He's not in contention for anything.
And what's funny is his car this weekend was blank, so not going to attract any sponsors that way, Robbie.
Yeah.
So, but there were obviously some, points implications. Another thing that happened this weekend, Kyle Busch ran terrible again. I know we're both thrilled about that. Well, he didn't. He was running mid pack and then hit the wall or got hit or something like that. I don't remember, but he